There's a couple of things here. Solve the equation, check your solution. I find value in checking your solution, but sometimes I feel like it takes a lot of time. So I think you should check maybe every two or three second or third problem. Maybe you don't have to do every single problem. Or if one that you're thinking is maybe a little shady, maybe I should check this one. Okay? All right. So steps, change the subtraction to adding the opposite, and DCS, what does that stand for? Not Dexter Community Schools, although it does, but in math, what does it stand for? Remember? What's a D stand for, you think, when you're solving? Yeah, Garrett. Distribute, yeah, distribute first, if needed, then combine, then solve. If you keep that order in mind, you'll do fine. Distribute, then combine, then solve. Okay? So here, is there any distributing?
No.
No, but there is a subtraction, so I'm going to change that to adding a negative. Is there any combining I need to do? Yep. I got 9x and 1x. How many x's altogether? Plus negative 7 equals 13. My goal is to isolate x. I got to undo, get rid of this. This is negative 7. How do I make it 0? Add 7. (10x equals 20). Divide by 10. Divide by 10. X is equal to 2. 20 divided by 10. Now, I'm going to check the first one here just because. So you're saying x is 2, so you substitute in that 2 wherever there's an x. Again, what does it mean when you have a number next to a variable? You're doing what? Multiplying. Plus 2 plus a negative 7. Does that equal 13? So I have 18 plus 2 is 20. Take away 7 is 13. Yes, it does work. Okay. 13 equals 13. Okay. You guys do this one. Exactly the same. Do it on your own. I don't know if you guys are just moving on, you're still working on this one. So here's what I did. Combine these two together, you get 7d plus 4 equals 32. Take away 4, 7d equals 28. Divide each side by 7, d equals 4. Okay? I'm only going to do 2 more here on this page, just to let you know. All right, so let's do this one. So first of all, I have subtraction. I need to change that to adding a negative, especially when you have distributing going on. Now, here's the thing people want to do. I see it all the time. They want to take this 4x and they want to multiply it by what's in here. What's the problem with that? Raymond?
The 4x isn't next to the parentheses. It only has to multiply what's next to it.
Right. So to start, the 4x just comes along for the ride. I'm just going to rewrite that 4x. Because the first thing I got to do here is I got to distribute that negative 7. So negative 7x would be here. plus negative 7 times negative 2 is positive 14. Distribute first. Then combine like terms. So these two are alike on the same side of the equal sign. 4 take away 7, how many x's you got? Negative 3. Okay, now I'm working to get x by itself, so I got to undo this part here. I got to take away 14. Negative 3x equals 12. Divide by negative 3. X equals negative 4. Now, if I wanted to check, I would take this and plug it in where x is, correct? Yes, Mrs. Burgess, that's what you would do. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, if I wanted to check, I would plug it in and see if it works. The left side equals 26. All right, let's just do one more down here. Let's do this middle one. You guys want to try it on your own? Try it on your own. This middle one right here. I would, of course, change that to adding a negative first. Check it too, please. So the first thing I did was I distributed. So I got negative 3x plus 4x plus negative 8 equals 15. Then I added these two together and I got 1x. You can put a 1 there, it's fine. Plus negative 8 equals 15. Add 8, x equals 23. Yeah? If you didn't get that, do you see your mistake? Okay, I distributed, combined, added 8, and x equals 23. And then I checked, and it worked. Okay. I don't think we need to do more here, do we? Let's flip it over. All right, so when you get this, I want you to stop and look before you leap. You don't need to write this down, but maybe you want to. Sometimes you can do something that's easier than what you might be inclined to do. What the heck is she talking about? What might you want to do to start that first problem? Elise. Yeah, you might want to distribute. But that's just going to be ugly because you're going to have fractions. Right here, hold on a second. We have a fraction times this stuff. Doesn't matter what's inside there. It's being multiplied by that stuff. Isn't there an easy way to get rid of fractions when it's being multiplied by something? What do? You divide or... Yeah. Multiply by the reciprocal, right? It would be so much easier if you take that step right now and multiply both sides by 5/3. Way easier. It's going to be a lot prettier. This goes away, and you don't need those parentheses anymore because it's not being multiplied by anything anymore. So you can just write 2x minus 4. Then you can multiply straight across. I think that is 50 and 40 is 90. 90 over 3, which is what? 30. Wow. Isn't that a lot prettier than dealing with the fraction? So before you jump in, just look and see what's my best method here. Add 4 to both sides. 2x equals 34. Divide by 2, and x equals 17. Okay? All right, do this one on your own. Same method. Get rid of that fraction first. It's kind of fun, isn't it? Not bad. Trying to tell by your faces whether it's going well or not. I think I get the sense it's going okay, but sometimes people are good at faking it. All right, so I multiplied by 5 halves. I got 50 over 2, which becomes 25. And then I just have what's inside the parentheses equals 25 and r equals 7. This part sometimes confuses people. You just multiply straight across. All right, so hey, we got the same thing here, but we have a negative 4/5. What's the reciprocal of negative 4/5? Negative 5/4. Negative 5/4. Now, it doesn't matter if you put the negative on the top or the bottom. I like to just put it on the top. It doesn't really matter. Put this over 1. This goes away. Don't need the parentheses anymore because there's nothing being multiplied by it. I changed that to adding a negative. That's an A, by the way. A weird A. Okay. This is negative 130? Negative 130? What?
140.
Negative 140. So this is negative 140 over 4, which would be negative 35, I believe, correct? When you divide, you get negative 35?
Yep.
So that comes down here. Okay, this is a negative 1. To get rid of it, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. And yes, you're going to get a decimal, but that's okay. Divide by 4. And A equals negative 8.5. Otherwise known as what in decimal form? Negative 8.5. Okay. Yeah, that's all right for this one. Okay, we have to do this. I'm going to read it to you first, and then we'll talk about it. Can you just hold off for 3 minutes? Just 3 minutes. Just stay with us through this. Edmund and Roberto took a 7-day, 168-hour, 90-mile canoe trip down the Allagash River. If they paddled at an average rate of 2.5 miles per hour, how many hours did they spend not paddling? Write and solve an equation to find the answer. I'm hoping as I read that, somebody had an equation come to mind that might help me set this up. Did anybody have that? Something that I told you at one point that you would use a lot in algebra and advanced algebra 2. And anybody? I have a time. I have a what? Yes. I have a distance. Yes. I have a time and I have a rate. So D equals R times T. Got to kind of think that because that will often help you set up problems. So this is distance. This is rate. And this is the time spent paddling. That's what they gave me. Now I plug in what I know. How far was my trip? What was my rate? Okay, now this is the tricky part. Time spent not paddling. They told me the total, right? Yeah. What was the total time in hours? Okay, I can't leave it like that because I want to know how many hours I spent not paddling. So I got to take away from the total. What? You're right. It would be minus x. However many hours I didn't paddle. That's my x. So now I distribute. Change that to adding a negative. And I get 420 plus a negative 2.5x. This times this is like 2.5 times negative 1 x. That's why it becomes negative 2.5. Okay, subtract 420. Hang in there. I'm almost done. And I get negative 330 equals negative 2.5x. Divide by negative 2.5. And x equals 132 hours not paddling. They spent a lot of time not paddling. A lot of time enjoying the scenery. Okay?